Hey, good morning, Metropolis. It's now 5 after the hour of 6 a.m. in the big monster city.
Come on! Let's get pumped!
I'm not drinking any fucking Merlot! What can I say? The camera loves me.
Shall we begin? After you, Junior.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Multiplex Logged It. I'm your host, Kaleb Boatman. Brzakala is not here, so it's with me, but we've got a great panel talking about movies that made us love movies. So we have our regional Don Rickles, Woody Harrelson, George C. Scott, whatever you want to call him, Cody Newberry. How are you doing, Cody? I haven't seen you in a week.
I'm great. I'm glad that one of the employees of Multiplex Entertainment came back to work today. That was great. I'm glad to see him. He doesn't look like he got much sun, so he's been sitting in a movie theater, so that's pretty cool. Overall, should be fun. I was under the impression Tim was going to be here, and Tim is not here, so that makes me a little sad. But Mike's here, and a robot. So other than that, we'll see how the night goes. I have no idea how this is going to go. I'm probably going to disagree with Joseph's picks.
I'll say this, I got more sun than I normally get in a normal week. So, progress.
That's true.
Mike!
Yes.
Mike!
Oh, yeah.
How you doing,
the man with the boat.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fucking great. It's a great fucking time. It's a great fucking show.
That's good. Open the pod bay doors, Joseph.
I'm sorry, Boatman, but I'm afraid I can't do that.
How are you doing, Joseph?
I'm doing okay. I just wanted to do that at least once.
Okay, then. Well, we're going to get started with your favorite movie that you logged this week. Joseph, we'll start with you. What is your favorite movie you logged this week? Are you not? Are you Joseph? You're muted.
My bad. So, I wrote a quick review about this movie saying RIP to the cast members of Z that have passed away this year. But it's technically not a movie that I logged for this week. It was just a review that I added to a past log. So my favorite movie that I logged this past week was Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. This was a rewatch that I did for the Video Store Challenge of 2022, in which I had to watch a movie that freaked you out as a kid or a thought of a movie that scared you. And this movie freaked the hell out of me as a kid, from the dinner with the Maharaja to the infamous heart scene. And rewatching it as an adult, I'm like, okay, I'm over that now. So that's pretty cool. I can watch this calmly now, but also not calmly because, man, I forgot how intense this movie is and how much fun it is. There's a lot of great production and how this world of where this new world where Indiana Jones is fighting in, it's not Nazis, but it's a cult that is sacrificing human beings. And I forgot how much suspense and action and obstacles and danger that Willie, Indy, and Short Round go through, especially in the second half when they're trying to go through when they're trying to get out of the cave and rescue all the kids there. It's obstacle and danger after obstacle and danger. I was like, this is so much more fun than I remembered as a kid, because I was so distracted by being scared as a kid. So now I can enjoy it and have so much fun with it now. This was a great I'm so glad I rewatched this movie. It's gone way up on my list. It might even make my top 100 in the future.
Wow. Yeah, there's behind the scenes inside baseball for a second. There's a large debate, I feel like, with people about what's the worst movie, Temple of Doom or Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. And I just want to get on the record as saying that Temple of Doom is a better movie than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Kaiser, Koho, Holtzman, all of you guys, you're psychopaths. Yes. Anyway, Temple of Doom is a fun time. And it doesn't hit the highs for the other two indies of me. I think the thing that drags it down will always be Willie Scott. I think she's really annoying.
That's fair.
But overall, this is a fun time. It doesn't hit the highs for me, but I do enjoy it. Like the Berg is the man. Mike, we're talking about the Berg, so I'm gonna go to you.
Yeah, damn right. Yeah, growing up, this was my favorite indie movie for a lot of years. I love the hell out of this movie. This one I rewatched the most. Yeah, it has the dark elements, of course, but it was mainly the friendship between Indy and Short Round that I absolutely loved. From the cheating at cards to Short Round coming to Indy's aid towards the end, they're just fucking amazing together. And I love the minecart chase. It's fucking awesome. And then the rope bridge is always fun. Everything Joseph said, I agree with. It is a great fucking time. It is a great fucking movie.
Cody?
I'm really surprised that he brought up Temple. I mean, in this community, like Temple is like the redheaded stepchild. Like no one really the people don't like it. They talk bad about it. I'm a big fan. Overall, where this fits is the same way it fits in Back to the Future for me. I don't love the second one as much as I love 1 and 3. It's the same reason in this one. Like I love 1 and 3 of Indy. 2 is just as good. It just doesn't hit every note that I love in it. Like there's no problem with it. So I just don't understand how you can watch, like if you watch all three together or around each other, how you can't have a good time. Like it's so much fun. And I've been on the record, like this is Harrison Ford. Like as much as every other character, like I think Han Solo could be cast again by somebody else down the line. I really do. Like if you ever remade that, I don't believe Indy should be passed. Like I think Indy should just be Harrison Ford because it's the character I see him as. This movie has so much fun in it. The internet tells you you're supposed to hate this, but overall, no. Short Round is flipping awesome. Like I used to quote that all the time, probably insensitive, but I used to quote it all the time. Like hold on to your potatoes. Like No Time for Love. Like there are great moments throughout this movie. Like that he is fantastic in. And again, I watched Everywhere All at Once or whatever, and he's just when Tim pointed that out, I was like, holy hell, like this is the greatest movie. That just was the highlight. So yes, I understand for you, Robot Man 2 you like, but I'm saying that's my reference. Yeah, I'm really surprised. I never thought, especially somebody like younger, would bring up Temple and be like, love it. Like this is the movie. It's crazy.
Mike, real quickly, I gotta ask, which is the more traumatizing PG-rated movie from 1984? This movie or Gremlins?
Oh, it's got to be The Heart from Temple. Like 100%. The Heart from Temple for most traumatizing. Yeah. Gremlins is more the fun type of horror. Temple is just we're gonna scare the
whole
shit
town
out.
is stupid. Whole town is stupid. Just
I think Mike's got a point. Anyway, though, we'll go over to Mike. Mike, what's your favorite movie along this week?
Okay, so this is kind of a cheat because this could also be used for the topic today, but I had to rewatch it for the 101 Frights. I'm going 84 Ghostbusters. I will watch the shit out of that. It was 2 days ago, and I fucking love it. There's nothing better than 84 Ghostbusters, except for Jurassic Park, of course. Nothing compares to that. Bill Murray, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson, and Dan Aykroyd are fucking incredible in this movie. Bill Murray's humor throughout this is amazing. Opening with him doing the damn test and just fucking with that kid for $5 by shocking him as much as he does, even when he gets it right, is hilarious. The whole concept of Bill Murray not believing in anything that's going on until he actually starts to see that this shit's real is awesome. And Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis are just fucking great together, man. Their humor together is fantastic. And Ernie Hudson coming in towards the second half is always a fun time. That dude is the heart of the fucking Ghostbusters. I love this movie so much. I've talked about it on the top 100, so I don't need to say any more about it. Great shit.
That is fair. Yeah. Ghostbusters is a classic for a reason. I think just the dynamic of the four is so important. Like, honestly, like, I think the kind of one of the bigger problems of the movie is that Winston honestly isn't in it more, because I think having that skeptic outsider in there is actually a super important element of the movie, and I think he actually elevates every scene he's in. But all four of these guys are great. I'm always gonna love Ray, but Peter, one of my favorite scenes ever is Peter doing the ESP test. I love that scene so much. And Egon always gonna Egon. But yeah, no, this movie's great. We're doing a lot of 1984 rewatches. But yeah, anyway, Joseph, Ghostbusters.
So I don't love this movie as much as others do. The first half of this movie I thought was very good. I laugh. I think it's fun. I like the camaraderie between the characters. But for some reason, the second half just doesn't work for me. Like, I stopped laughing there's a good steady amount of laughs for me in the first half, but not so much the second one. I haven't seen it in a while, but yeah, that's how I'm at right now for the movie.
That is completely fair. So now we're going to go over to Cody.
Oh.
That's what I said, Cody.
Oh, that was the weirdest. That was the weirdest transition to Ghostbusters ever. That was like, hey, we're going to your favorite movie, but you know what? You're the host. I'm apologizing. I just interpreted it.
No, I'm sorry. I did word that weirdly. I apologize.
To help you with the second half, Joseph, get you a video store. Watch it with a group. I'm telling you, this movie used to be on like a lower end for me, not as fun. I had a blast last time I watched this. I'm really ticked that Mike actually watched this. Was hoping down the line this month we could watch it again. Where I would pair this with Afterlife again. I want to watch this and Afterlife again, like that double feature, because I just think I loved Afterlife more than most. And then and this one was just great with Mike. Like, I think it just benefits when you watch a movie that people love, kind of like the topic we're talking about. When you watch a movie with people that they love the movie, and you can see the joy that the movie brings them, it helps you. Like Evil Dead, what's the one we watched, Mike, together? I can't remember. Army of Darkness.
Army of Darkness, yeah.
That's not a me movie, but watching Azario and Mike have so much fun with it livened the movie for me. Now, when I watch it by myself again, it's probably going to fall apart. So I'm going to leave it in that memory box. So, yeah, Ghostbusters, if I'm watching Ghostbusters, I'm not going to watch it by myself. I'm going to go towards Mike and be like, hey, Mike, we need to watch Ghostbusters, because that's where I sit on it. It's a fun time. So, great. I'm really surprised you brought it up here and not later, but whatever. You do you.
No, it makes sense. It's Mike. He has like 1,000 movies that made him love movies.
Well, he messaged me before the show and said, are we bringing up a certain topic? I said, it's all yours. You can have it.
Anyway, Cody, go ahead.
Okay, so this one's going to be, I think, a little unpopular. Like, there was one that I was going to bring up. I was going to bring Mean Girls because October 3rd, I always watch it on that day. But this is, I think I have to admit it to myself. This is my favorite of his movies. And I think even his writing of movies. I'm going with Molly's Game as Sorkin's. I love Molly's Game. It's the mixture between poker and like his line of dialogue that makes it like explode on the screen for me. And I think Molly Bloom overall is a very interesting character to write about, of like what she did and why she has to like battle through her growing up, the intricate games. I didn't include it in my top 100 scenes, so it's not included. But I think I hate myself for not including it. But the scene where she is on the park bench at the skating rink with Kevin Costner, Costner is a block of wood most times in movies. That is one of the best acting performances he's ever given. Because when he sits there and is like, I'm going to give you 3 years of therapy in about 10 minutes and like lays it all out there, and you see like this actual heart moment between both of them that are so brutal to each other because they don't have a relationship, I think is brilliant. I could watch this movie. It's climbed so far on my top 100 because rewatching it, I was like, it's an hour, it's 140 minutes, it's over 2 hours. It should be a slog at certain points. Like, I get it, you set up games, but it takes a turn at the end. I think Idris Elba, also great scene, not on my top 100, when he's like talking to the other lawyers about, she ran a game, she did $10,000, just cut the thing and get out of here. Like, this is what we need to do. It's a brilliant. I think it's Sorkin's writing with the topic of poker. It's like, and it doesn't beat you over the head with poker knowledge, which I think this movie could fall into a trap of. It doesn't. It teaches you basically as you watch it, but doesn't treat you like you're stupid. I think it's absolutely brilliant. I think Jessica Chastain is amazing in this movie.
I agree completely. I really do love the scene with Idris Elba. Idris Elba, I don't think gets enough credit for this movie, but I love that scene that you're talking about with the kind of off-the-record interview with the prosecutors, because I do believe it is the same scene where the prosecutor's like, we don't buy it. You were way more connected to the Russian mob than you're letting on. Look, here, it says, get Molly. We need Molly. Bring Molly. And the reveal.
When she sits there calmly, they're talking about the drug.
They were talking about the drug.
And like Idris Elba like laughs in the scene. Like he's just like, guys, like I've seen you do this before.
It's so great. It is so great. Michael Cera playing Tobey Maguire is amazing. Like that's great. I would watch a Michael Cera Tobey Maguire biopic. I don't think they would let that happen, but I would watch it. But I also really like Jeremy Strong for like the scene and a half he's in the movie as Dean Keith. I really like him. I'm kind of on a Jeremy Strong watch along right now. Like he's been showing up in a lot of things. I'm also rewatching Succession, so that's part of it. But yeah, I like him. So yeah. Anyway, Joseph, how do you feel about Molly's Game?
I've been meaning to watch it. I have not seen it yet.
Oh, wow. I feel like you would like it. I feel like what I know about your movie taste, you would like it. Mike, I know you watched this not 2 weeks. Yeah.
Mainly because of you and Cody. Like 2 weeks ago, we were on call and you guys were talking about Molly's Games and I hadn't rewatched it like I've been wanting to. So I went, fuck it, I'm going to rewatch it finally. So I rewatched it and I enjoy the hell out of it. It is really good. Jessica Chastain is amazing. Michael Cera is incredible in that movie. He's so good. When it comes to the poker scenes, I fucking love it to death. The poker scenes are so good. And I love it's another movie of the rise and fall of someone. And I think they do it well in this movie.
Oh, I agree completely. Now we are over to me. And before I make my actual pick, I do want to shout out a movie that I saw like yesterday, Official Competition. It's a recent movie. It's with Penelope Cruz and Antonio Banderas. Watch it. It's great as soon as you can. Like it's fantastic. It's from this year. But anyway,
can I guess your movie?
Yeah.
If it's not this, I'm really confused. Is it not the movie you saw in that theater?
Yeah, it's Old Boy. It's Old Boy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you thought of the
I thought it was the fiction.
Yeah.
I thought it was Pulp Fiction in that theater. Like
I mean, Pulp Fiction is okay. I will say that Pulp Fiction is probably my favorite overall movie I watched this week. I always pick a new watch for favorite.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair.
That's just something I do. Is I always try to pick something I haven't seen before, unless there's just nothing. But usually or something I haven't watched. Anyway. Old Boy, I saw this at the Dolby Theater with Payson, and I had never seen it, and this was a fun time. Now, unfortunately, I 2 years ago, decided to hit myself over the head with a mallet and watch the Spike Lee version for trivia purposes, so I knew a few of the twists going into it, but honestly, that didn't hurt this movie for me. I think that this movie is fantastic. I don't want to give too much away for the people who haven't seen it, but it is phenomenally directed, phenomenally acted. The way the mystery unfolds is great. There's some disturbing moments in it, but there's also some funny moments in it. It's honestly like got a little bit of everything. I really enjoyed the heck out of it. And seeing it in a theater, I think, was the best way to watch it. Cody, I don't think you've seen Old Boy. Mike, I'm pretty sure you have.
Yeah, okay, so this is an interesting one here because this is a movie I have not seen since high school.
Oh.
And I have not forgotten the scene in it because it was that type of movie. And I've been meaning to rewatch it because I got to log the shit. But yeah, I love the hell out of this movie. It's done so well. And yeah, the first introduction of doing the Spike Lee one, kind of rough when it comes. It's kind of a rough one to do. But yeah, the original, definitely check it out. It is a great fucking movie.
That's fair. Joseph?
So I have not seen either version, but I was spoiled the twist, and it makes me... It scares me to watch it, in all honesty. There are some parts that I have seen about it, and I do think that they are artistically impressive. I'm just... It makes me uncomfortable to watch it for myself.
That's fair, Joseph. I would say someone who had the twist spoiled for him, if that's your main if your concern is the discomfort level, that's fair. If your concern is just it's you already know going in, I think the way things unfold is super interesting. But yeah. Anyway, that's it for favorite movies we watched this week and we logged this week. Now, over to your least favorite movie you logged this week. Joseph, we'll go back to you. Oh, you're muted again.
That's right. So continuing on with the Video Store 2022 Letterboxd Challenge, one of the other categories that I was able to cross off this past week was Stanley Kramer films. And the one movie that I watched, I would say I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it does feel underwhelming. And this is a movie from 1977 called The Domino Principle. It's a movie that has Gene Hackman playing this Vietnam War vet who's going to carry out this this covert task for a secret corporation, and in exchange for him getting out of prison. I like the intrigue. I like the setup for this movie. I think that it does a great job in making Gene Hackman's character paranoid. It's interesting that he made this and The Conversation in the same decade within a few years. But then it feels like this movie is like an hour and 40 minutes long. At about almost an hour, they're still setting up the fact that he has to carry out a mission for this secret corporation. And it just doesn't feel like it moves anywhere from that. So it feels a little underwhelming for that regard. The last half hour does pick up a little bit. You actually see him try to attempt to do it. But then there's this twist that happens that I feel undermines some of the... I don't like how this particular twist is carried out because I don't think it adds much to or I don't like what it does or implies about the first part of the story. I feel like it's a little cheap. It cheapens a bit what happened in the first part of the movie. So that's my least favorite part of the movie, even though I didn't hate it. I still think it's entertaining, but it was my least favorite movie I logged this past week. Also really weird. This movie opens with Sergio Leone-like credits with the gunshots and cannon booms or blasts of sorts with the credits giving this narration. And I was like, this is Stanley Kramer. I thought this was supposed. This feels like a Sergio Leone opening first, and then it changes. But that was weird.
That's fair. I've always kind of feel like Kramer's a little bit of a chameleonic director. I don't know if he necessarily has a through line for me personally, but that's kind of what I like about him. But yeah, I haven't seen this one. It's disappointing to learn that it's not great because Kramer and Hackman seem like a good fit. But yeah, Cody, I guess you haven't seen this. Mike,
No,
that's fair. Mike, we will go over to you. What's your least favorite movie you logged this week?
Okay, so I had to do another one from the 101 Frights, and I blame Koho for this because he added it to the fucking list. The Gallows. I hate this fucking movie. I hated it the first time I watched it, and I had to fucking watch it again.
Why is it on the list?
Koho added it. I don't know why, but yeah, it's straight by the numbers, basically slasher movie with a ghost, and
this is what happens when you let somebody that doesn't appreciate or like horror to pick horror movies.
Hey,
He
my
made the list.
addictions on the list were good.
I said this is Koho. Did you
I
pick
like
Gallows?
I'm just saying I don't like a pro or appreciator. I mean,
But you know film?
that's fair.
You don't watch it at 2 times speed?
which I guarantee he's going to do with this movie too. Goddamn. But yeah, it's a movie.
That's fair.
Is this the? Can I ask a question? Because I'm really confused. Is this the one that's about it's a production, like it's a play? Is that the
where
one?
the guy gets accidentally hanged?
Oh my gosh! I watched 45 minutes of this in the theater and I walked out. And then that's not saying much because the runtime I don't believe is very long.
No.
I believe I lasted over halfway and I just couldn't get through it. Yeah, this movie. Wow. We need to do a study of movies left off the top 101 and be like, why was The Gallows chosen over? Yeah,
Mike,
interesting.
is The Exorcist on the 101?
Do not say that.
Oh no, I don't. Oh no, it is. Okay, it is.
Okay, I wanted
For a
to
minute,
see
I went, wait,
Cody's
did I watch
reaction.
it? Because I know I would have watched it by now for that list, but I went, did I?
You put The Gallows over The Exorcist. I would have had a coronary. I would have dead.
I always get this movie mixed up with The Lazarus Project because they came out around the same time.
Yeah.
Those two movies always conflate in my brain. I didn't see either of them, but I just remember those were the two crappy horror movies that came out around the same time. Joseph, you see The Gallows?
I have not seen it, but please see Freaks from that list of 101 movies.
Yes.
I saw that movie
Freaks
earlier
is
this
good.
year.
Freaks is good.
Freaks is good. I watched that
Yes.
last year during October. Freaks is quite good. Freaks is a good
Fun
time.
fact, I read that it was banned in a few states in the US because people thought that it was an exploitation movie of people who had different deformities, but it's been culturally appreciated again. But some states apparently don't have their laws taken down from that. So apparently in some states it's illegal to watch Freaks. So if you're okay in your
It's
state,
probably Missouri, to be honest with you. I'm probably screwed. If we're being honest, it's got to be Missouri. There's no question. We can't sports bet, but we can own 75 shotguns. It doesn't matter. It's crazy.
so yeah, watch the movie that was banned in a few states and still is in some states today.
I need to look
yes,
it up.
Garth.
I need to look
Yes,
it up.
Garth.
That's funny. Anyway, Cody.
Oh yeah, I was supposed to pick a movie. This is just the facts. I didn't log this because I'm doing fandom, which I'm about to break fandom. I'm going to announce it publicly. I'm not saying I'm not doing fandom, but I cannot do it chronological order. This is the worst hell I've ever experienced. I can't do it. I have been stuck for so long, but I'm going to break it up into different categories. Anyways, my kids were watching the movie, and this is going to get some pushback, and I really don't care. I've said this before. My worst is Tarzan. And it's not because it's like by far the worst movie that I've seen this. It's just the worst one I've watched this week. And my kids watched. I didn't even log it yet. This soundtrack is fantastic. I listen to the soundtrack often. The movie sucks. Like, if we're being real, I'm sorry, but the movie's not good. There's not a real appealing character in it that makes you like go, yeah, Disney, I love it. It was coming off of the run of Disney that just doesn't. It just hits flat. Like, I don't think the villain's that great. I don't think the main characters have a strong enough like connection that makes me care. And I think it's mainly Phil Collins' problem because the movie does not equal the soundtrack. The soundtrack is going so hard and enjoy, like I mean I've heard Boatman while in the same house rock out to Son of Man while he was taking a shower. That it kicks. It makes sense. But when you watch it in the movie, you're like, what? This doesn't. No, I don't. I don't even think I think the animation is fine for the time. But I think when you rank this up against, when did it come out? 99? Yeah. Of the 90s Disney run, it's gotta be the last one drafted out of the 90s. Maybe.
I'm not a Pocahontas guy.
Okay, sure. Racism definitely goes lower. But
I was gonna say Pocahontas, yeah.
Yeah, you put the Savages lower, and then this. That's the last pick. You have even me that doesn't like Hunchback. You have to give Hunchback credit over this movie for me. The story's more compelling. So that's my pick. I know it's unpopular, but that's.
I'm higher on this movie than you are, Cody. I will say I pretty much agree with your assessment about the ranking, though. I don't think there's, at least for me, anything. You could make an argument for like Rescuers Down Under, I guess, but I kind of like that movie. But yeah, no, I'm going to be a little higher on this movie than you are. I like Tarzan and Jane. I think the way their connection is done, I think is actually quite well done. I wish the movie would have focused more on it. I do like the connection between Tarzan and the Kerchak. I actually think that's a really interesting dynamic, and I wish the movie would have bought a little bit more into that, because I actually think that's one of the more interesting dynamics of the movie. Clayton is bad, though. I'll agree with that. I think Clayton is maybe the worst Disney villain of the 90s, except for Governor Ratcliffe. But yeah. Joseph, thoughts on Tarzan?
In terms of villains, I feel like Clayton gets more development than, say, Shan Yu in Mulan. Even though technically Shan Yu does worse things. I know he technically does worse things, but I don't know. I feel at least that I don't know. I feel like he's more of a generic kind of bad guy than Clayton is in Tarzan. Sorry, go ahead.
He doesn't get how many men does it take to deliver a message, though.
But he has arguably, hold on, let me think. Arguably the second best death scene of the Disney villains of the 90s. And, well, anyway.
I mean, the worst of the villains of the 90s has to be from Mulan, right?
Thank you. Shan Yu, yes. That's what I was saying.
I don't think it's great.
He doesn't do shit.
Tell me, how many men does it take to deliver a message? I like that. I think that brings him higher than Clayton for me personally.
Sure, I guess. I just like him hanging. I mean, if you're gonna give him a point, I give him when he dies. Like, I think it's great. I was like, Disney movie. Mike probably saw that when he was like, 12, and was like, more hanging.
But yeah, in terms of the movie itself, like, or in the movie as a whole, So I'm a little bit biased towards this movie because I watched it a lot as a kid. I watched a lot of 90s Disney movies as a kid. This, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, Hercules, and Mulan. The ones I didn't watch as much were Hunchback of Notre Dame and Pocahontas. I've rewatched Hunchback as an adult, and I really, really like it. This movie, I still enjoy it. I haven't gone back to it in a while, but yeah, I think I can still watch it.
Mike?
Yeah. So Tarzan, I will say we watched this movie mainly for the soundtrack. I bump out to that soundtrack, especially in like drive-thrus and shit. I will fucking turn that shit up to 11 every time. Yeah. Other than that, the movie is
Can you show me?
in the middle of Disney shit compared to the actual soundtrack. The soundtrack makes that shit go higher for sure.
Anybody remember when Chance said one time on Your List Sucks that the best song in this soundtrack was Trashing the Camp because it's the one that
he's a moron. He also hates Leonardo DiCaprio. Don't be in the camp of that. Okay. Anyways, no. And the problem with this movie is, listen, what's the dad gorilla?
Kerchak.
Kerchak should have beat the fuck out of Tarzan. You do not stand up to a silverback and walk away from that. That man should have been on the ground. Just saying.
That's fair. Anyway, now we're over to me. Look, sometimes movies come out in theaters, and the behind the scenes controversies can sometimes hurt a movie. I think I feel like I can separate those things from that. And even then, separating it, Don't Worry, Darling, is still a piece of garbage. Oh man. Now I will give this movie some props up front. Florence Pugh and Chris Pine are actually really good in this. They're not given much to work with, but I think those are just two really talented actors. And I think they get a lot out of it, particularly Chris Pine. I really like him in this. Other than that, here's what this whole movie is. Oh, and the cinematography, production design, costume design are all excellent. But other than that, here's what this movie is. Hi, I'm Olivia Wilde. You want to know what the twist is? You want to know what the twist is? You want to know what the twist is? And then she tells you the twist, and then the movie's over. It sucks. It sucks. It's bad. Harry Styles is atrocious in it. And he's clearly trying to do an American accent because he's not sounding normal. But it was so bad that I'm like 99% sure they like wrote it in because there's like one throwaway line about him being British, and I'm confident that was like added in afterward because like he's not talking like in a normal accent. It's this weird combination American British accent, and I'm convinced it's because of that. This movie has some like pretty like honestly, this was kind of a fun bad movie. But it would have been a better fun bad movie if it didn't, for lack of a better word, have Don't Look Up vibes. It honestly feels like if Adam McKay using his Don't Look Up brain tried to make Get Out. That's what this movie feels like. It's bad. It's quite bad. Yeah. Cody, you see this yet?
No, but here's the problem. So this is where I've always I stay away from trailers like 98% of time. I normally let like the synopsis and stuff like guide me because these are one of those classic examples that I would have went into this movie when I judge a movie where I want to see it is it's going to be initial reaction from people that I trust overall. Like unless it's a movie that's sold already, like Spider-Man, I was going to see Spider-Man regardless of what anybody told me. This is one of those movies that has a cast that's fantastic, but overall, don't know if I want to see it. But the trailer sold me on how great looking this movie is. More reviews come out. It tells me exactly what this movie is. It's a great 2-minute trailer, but when you force it out for as long as it was, it's a mess. Like it's a garbage of a film. There's just certain directors that shouldn't handle suspense. At the end of the day, like you can't just practice in all mediums. You don't have the skill or the talent. Like what did she do? She did Booksmart, wasn't that Olivia Wilde?
Yeah. Booksmart.
Great, practice in your lane, do some comedy. But when you try to like suspend that and go to something else because you want to play in a different sandbox, you're going to have some kids come along and beat the shit out of you because you're not supposed to be in their sandbox. That's theirs. They're playing in that. You're not allowed to do that because she doesn't have the talent. She doesn't know how to do suspense. And I think that's a proven point of this movie. I think also Hollywood needs to stop casting A-listers. Just because they're A-listers and they think they're cool doesn't need to be. Harry, you're a popular singer. Stay the fuck out of film. Like, you don't need to be in film. Like, stop. So this movie just makes me mad because Florence Pugh, regardless of the backstage drama, Florence Pugh is literally one of the best actresses working right now. And she wasted part of her life doing this film that people are going to hate. And it just is frustrating when she could have. But you could have passed this same topic to somebody else, another director, and I think you slam dunk. You hit a home run. So
I don't know, Cody. I think Florence Pugh does too much frowning.
I mean, she does do a lot of frowning, but it's the best frowning in the game. So
it's like Burt Lancaster grinning. That's what they both. Anyway, Joseph, I don't think you have seen this yet. You're not really a recent.
I have not seen this.
Yeah, that's fair. Mike,
I haven't seen it yet.
that's fair. Well,
me and Mike will watch on 2 times speed once it comes out on
honestly, this is a movie that I won't give you crap for watching.
Appreciate it.
Anyway, now we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the show. It is the movies that made you fall in love with movies. So, Cody, I will let you start. Give us your first pick.
So I could go a lot of different routes. I think this is like one of the hardest topics to bring things up on, because what made you love movies is like, and maybe not pick something that I just have talked ad nauseum about. I have to go with the movie. I think the movie that changed for me was when I was a teenager. That made me realize how bad I want to watch movies like every day of my life instead of like occasional. It's not the first one. If that one gets taken, take it. I'm okay with that. I'll bring back, but I will take the other. The first one is Pulp Fiction. And the reason why I pick fiction is because it's the first movie I ever remember watching it twice in a row. I couldn't get enough of what I just saw that I had to go back in and revisit it again and loved it just as much or even more. It's a movie that was talked about, a movie that gets enough praise. Like, it's arguably an overpraised movie, but like I think it deserves the praise because I think it's that brilliant of a film, especially in Tarantino's. Like, you can just tell, like even Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, right? The thing is about Tarantino, what I give him passes on is you can tell how much he loves movies and how much he loves making them, and you can feel it in every one of his movies. Like, there are certain directors that I feel like, oh, you're directing just to direct at this point, or you're doing this just because you don't know what else to do. I feel like Tarantino made a movie with Pulp Fiction that is just absolutely brilliant. I think it's my favorite one. Is it his best one? No, because I think he's not at his full strength when he makes this. I think Inglourious is arguably, like, technically probably his best. But this movie, what he's able to capture with the performances and it's got an indie vibe to it. Like, you can tell throughout. Like, it doesn't have like. Yeah, I think if you tried to make Pulp Fiction nowadays with the same thing, I think it's overdone and explode. Like, I don't think it has the gritty vibe that this movie has. People are down on certain parts of this. This is a movie that I think works throughout for me. I love the Butch stuff just as much as I love Samuel L. Jackson. Again, I would take an entire movie of Samuel L. Jackson. But with the music, the pacing of this, everything pulled into one, Pulp Fiction is it made me realize, like, this is not just like a once a week, couple days thing. This is like I want to watch stuff daily. And I love the movie to this day about it. So Pulp Fiction is my first choice.
Yeah.
And I'm really jealous of you in California. Like, I'm super jealous. Like, I'm not going to say it and like hate you for it for the rest of it, but I hate you. Like, I hate you.
That's fair. Yeah, I got to see this at the New Bev, Tarantino's theater. and that was an awesome experience. I don't know if they just did this for Pulp Fiction or if they always do this, but like at the concession stand, instead of saying drinks, it says tasty beverages, and I love that. And the cups even say tasty beverages on them, and so I had to get a Sprite. What are you drinking? Sprite. May I have some of your tasty beverage? I love it. I love it. But no, this is a fantastic movie. I am on the record, and on rewatch, I still stand by it, that it's not even weak. It's not even, it's good. The segment of the movie I like the least is the Butch stuff. I just think there's a little too much filler in it for me personally. But that doesn't change the fact that this is a 5-star movie and a brilliant movie. This was not the first Tarantino I saw. The first Tarantino I saw was Inglourious Basterds. That was my introduction to Tarantino, which that is my favorite Tarantino. So do with that information what you will. But yeah, brilliant movie. Joseph.
Yeah, I know this is kind of eye-rolling for Cody, but this and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood are my 2 favorite Tarantino movies. Pulp Fiction, this and Reservoir Dogs. Just listening to the dialogues made me go like, wow, dialogues could be like this, and they could be this snappy and this clever. I was like, wow. And also the last time I rewatched this movie, I want to talk about something. The editing for this movie is so fluid. Like, I already noticed. I already know that the dialogue is great and the acting is great and the story is unpredictable. But on this most recent rewatch, I was like, this editing is very great. Like the conversations started right where they need to start, so that they don't. Like it doesn't feel like it has any empty space for the movie to slow down. It takes its time, but it also doesn't lag or anywhere. I love the dream after Christopher Walken's monologue. You hear the bell ring when Butch grabs the watch, and then he wakes up. I just love that moment. And yeah, also the Butch segment is also my least favorite part. Also, but it ends with a spoilers for Pulp Fiction for that one person who hasn't seen it, but it ends with a gunshot blast that is very satisfying.
Yeah, that's fair. Anyway, Mike, I know you and I had a long talk about this movie recently.
Yes. So like Boatman, I also got to see this at the New Bev a couple years ago. However, this was actually one of the movies I had on a list of choosing tonight, because 6-year-old Mike going to watch this in the theater and coming out a changed man forever, because for story, not in a disturbing way, but storyline wise, it changed me. Like, his writing is fucking spectacular in this, and it came out me appreciating the storytelling aspect of movies so much more, and made me love movies forever. This was one of the ones. It's so fucking well done, and I then got a VHS tape that had Goodfellas and Pulp Fiction on it, and that's all I would do during my school time. After school would be put on both those movies. We watch them both over and over again. Fucking love this movie so much. I love the Butch shit. I love all the Butch stuff. But I do love me some Mia. Mia is fucking amazing in it.
I think it's impressive too about Tarantino and his writing, because like when you hear the man talk, like, no shot at him, but like he's got so much like knowledge in his head that he stumbles through most of the stuff he always says.
Yeah.
So, but to be so tight, not miss a beat in his dialogue is just a craft. Like he's a craftsman. Like it's just, and that's the whole thing. Like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, everybody thinks I give it a bad rap. I give it 3 stars. It's not my favorite movie. I just think like it missed the mark for me of what it should have been at this level of him. Like what, and it's just, that's me personally. But his dialogue and everything has never, like he's a master in that.
Yeah. So now we go over to let's go over to Mike. Mike, what is your first pick?
Okay.
I realized I didn't want to go diagonal. I wanted to go left to right, and I didn't want to just go to moon.
Move us around then.
No! Just because you told me to, definitely not now.
So,
Mike,
okay.
go ahead.
I know, from what I'm told, I had seen this before, but I do not remember seeing it until I was 4 years old. Back to the Future. I fucking saw it on VHS. When that DeLorean disappears for that first time, that was it for me. I fucking love the movie so much. There was so much magic to it. It's insane. And I love, like, I'm named after fucking Michael J. Fox, for Christ's sake. So I've always loved Michael J. Fox. And him and Doc Brown together are fucking amazing in this. It is just so spectacular, the back and forth together. And the stuff with Marty and Crispin Glover is fucking insane. They are so good. And of course, the clock tower sequence, one of the greatest fucking scenes of all time. I love it so much. It just brought the magic of cinema to me. And it has not only the early Zemeckis feel to it, but it has the Spielberg feel throughout. And of course, that's another reason why I fucking love it as much as I do. It has that tone that mixes well. And to know that it took years for this movie to even get made, that no one wanted it, is fucking insane.
Mike, it's not a clock tower. It's a courthouse.
Damn it.
Anyway, I'm mad at myself that I didn't get to watch all three of these when you guys did them. But yeah, this is a brilliant movie. This is for me definitely like one of those formative movies that made me love movies for me as well. I remember seeing this one like 7 or 8, and I love this one. And it has stayed a favorite of mine forever. There was a brief period when I was like 12 or 13 where I had edgelord takes, and I thought 2 was better than 1. I don't think that anymore, but I used to think that 2 was the best one. Cody, you want to hear about edgelord Boatman take? I found my old top 10 movies from when I was 14, and we can look at that later. Yeah. Joseph, go ahead.
This movie is a movie that I watched kinda late. I didn't watch it until 2015, Back to the Future year, and I had always been eager to see it, but it was also something that I was worried would be overhyped. And the first one, at least, was not at all. I also was really. I was impressed by how much fun I was having with this movie, and also by just how exciting that final 30 minutes is. And also, I don't know, but Hermione, you're great, but George gives the best punch in movie history.
You know what? That's fair. That is completely fair. Cody?
I mean, movie's officially my 3 of all time. Just past Jaws. Overall, nothing against Jaws, but Back to the Future should have been 3 all along. This movie is, I've said before, this is my, like, I'm feeling down movie. This is pretty much the movie I go to. I was in trouble for school a lot for saying, "Take that, you mutating son of a bitch." More than I could count. I couldn't realize why I couldn't say that in school, but Marty McFly said it, or Marty McFly got yelled at about it. This movie just works so well in every aspect. There's one plot hole that I pointed out to Mike last time we watched it that drives me crazy now, but I'm trying to like erase it from my mind, because I'll just say it here. When they're doing the stuff and it shows him like failing at the task, his brother disappears. He would be the first person to disappear. He's the youngest. It makes no sense that he's the oldest. Would be like, you can't have the oldest and keep the youngest. That's not how it works. But overall, drove me crazy last time I watched it, and I hate that I watched it because I was watching it with like just at times because we were talking. the humor. This movie gets a lot of credit for the sci-fi, but the humor in this movie does not get enough credit. I know some people that have watched it like recently, like in the last like 10 plus years, they're like, ew, gross, like the mom and the son thing. Like, yeah, situational comedy was the time at the time. Like, that's just what played. And I still think it's funny. Like, I still to this day think it's funny. I love when they're sitting at dinner and he's like, oh, yeah, I've seen this episode. How could you see this one before? Rerun. What's a rerun? Don't worry about it. Who the hell? It's right past JFK. Who the hell? Who? John F. Kennedy. Who the John F. Kennedy? Like, it's just brilliant where they're able to go with the movie. I love the scene when Marty meets Doc in Back to the Future. He's like, "Tell me who's the president? Ronald Reagan, the actor. Who's the president? Gary Lewis." Like, there's just such.
Jane Wyman is the first lady, and Brad Penny is Secretary of Treasury.
And like when he sits there in the pause, like comedy doesn't have the pause anymore. Like in it where he's like sitting there, is like, you know what that means? This damn thing doesn't work at all. And like throws it. Brilliant comedy throughout. Like, this movie is so much fun, and that clock tower strike when it first goes back is just the score can literally change my mood. Hearing that score can literally make me go from like, Boatman should use it in arguments. Like, just play it and be like, I'm a happy person.
I need a little thing behind me that's like press in case of emergency, and it just blasts the Alan Silvestri Back to the Future.
It's just brilliant. The movie's brilliant. It is, and I think it's the one movie from like years gone by that it should never be touched. Should never be touched. There should never be a remake of this, because as much as I thought The Lion King should never be live action, which I stand by, this is one that just should never be touched. It's one of the most brilliant movies that has ever been made. And again, it's old news. If you haven't watched the This Is Why We Love Movies, like on Netflix, about this movie, it makes it even better because who they had cast and what they were deciding on. The movie's brilliant.
Yeah. I believe that's everyone for Back to the Future. So now we're going to go to Joseph.
Okay, so Cody, please don't take this personally. You can talk about it. You can talk about it. There were a lot of movies in the animation genre that I watched as a kid. And many times they were movies that I would watch kind of like just as a kid, have the mentality, oh, it's a movie. Great. Oh, that's another movie. Let's watch a movie. Oh, it's another Disney movie. But The Lion King gives me chills with the one scene in the rain at the end. This moment with the music, Hans Zimmer, the image of Simba going. It's a spoiler alert for The Lion King if you haven't seen this one or the remake. But this moment made me go like, this is cinema.
It's Hamlet, guys. It's Hamlet. The uncle dies.
But that single scene, there are some scenes, like whole sequences, that I might like more, but this moment is it's a personal moment, personal favorite moment for me. Kelly, yeah, but yeah, Hans Zimmer will never top the score, but he will always have the score.
Anyway, yeah, this is spoiler alert, but this is a great movie. No, this is also a super formative movie for me. I remember I don't actually remember this, but my mom always tells the story that like when my dad would have his confirmation group of like middle schoolers, I think. They would have to take me with because I was like 2 or 3 years old. And they would all go up to me and say, "Caleb, say it." And I'd be like, "Mufasa." And apparently it was just like the funniest thing ever. But yeah, so I will always have a connection with the movie. But I think someone else has a bigger connection to this movie, which is why we'll go to Mike and let Cody end it out. So Mike.
Yeah, all I'll say is that it's my favorite animated movie. I love this movie to death. It is so exceptional. But the only one man can actually really talk about this movie. Man above.
No, and the reason why I'm okay with Joseph bringing it up is because with Joseph, it saves me a pick, basically. But overall, I've talked about this movie ad nauseam. I think this is not only like it's not my second favorite. I think The Departed is great just because I'm of age and me getting up there, and I'd rather see people die. Maybe if Scar got eaten alive, it'd be better. Like I get to see it. But overall, like I don't
Shadows
think
like
I've
Clayton's death.
Yeah, I don't think I've had more of a visceral like anger in my body than seeing the remake from this because they do so much. They realize how brilliant the movie is that they have to do a shot for shot, but then change stuff just to change stuff. I think this is one of those movies that is brilliant. I think this movie goes above animation. I think it goes above a lot. I think what this movie's able to do in such a limited runtime to make you care for a character. I think this is Hans Zimmer's best score, and it's not even close. It's the music. It's like, this is like, looking at my life now, 31 years ago, it makes perfect sense why this movie like hits on so many levels for me. I mean, the music's done by Elton John. It like has Hans Zimmer score. It's like it's got like a redemption, a rise and a fall, and a rise back up. He said the Pride Rock thing, and that is literally one of the coolest moments for me is that walk back up Pride Rock. And him taking the throne, but like the little things like Jeremy Irons' voice and him blowing out his voice singing "Be Prepared," and like when they have that square down before the fight breaks out on Pride Rock, and he's like, tell him that you killed Mufasa. Like he thinks till this day he still is responsible for his own father's death for doing something he shouldn't have been doing. The music. I said that. It's brilliant. It made me weep as a child. It still can bring a tear to my eye now. My wife sends inappropriate death of Mufasa gifts way too often to my phone, which is the rudest thing possible. Lucky I'm still married. But that scene and the Stampede, what they're able to do in 94 makes some movies now look garbage. The hand-drawn wildebeest down, like run through, basically makes that thing look brilliant where it is. And Scar, Long Live the King, and the fall is one of the most traumatic moments of my childhood. My grandma is still pissed to this day that she never got to see Santa Claus, the Tim Allen, in theaters with the rest of the family because I threw a shit fit in the middle of the theater because I wanted to go see Lion King for like the 12th time. And she's like, if I have to see that damn baboon one more time, I swear I'm going to lose it. Guess what we did? We saw it. And it was great. And it changed movies forever for me. So
it's better than the Santa Claus. So
1984 garbage. God, well, did that come out on Christmas? That's one of the worst gifts Santa ever brought. Garbage.
During the interrogation scene, they had to do takes because Tim Allen kept giving him the name of his coke dealer. Still one of the greatest Thomas Scully jokes of all time.
Oh, and the thing is, have you never heard the comedian special about him talking about Lion King? They're like, it's just Shakespeare. Get it? It's Shakespeare with fur, and it's fucking better because they don't have broken English. And he goes on this huge rant about it. It's fantastic. It's one of the best.
That's fair. Well, now we're over to me, and I'm also going with a film that is a Disney animated film, but I am going with Beauty and the Beast. I've talked about this before, but this movie was actually my parents' first date. Their first date was seeing Beauty and the Beast in theaters. I'm what?
I'm old. Usually, the first date was and I was born at this point. Gross.
But yeah, my parents' first date was seeing Beauty and the Beast in theaters, and this is a great movie. I had the clamshell VHS, and I would watch that all the time. I remember like I would just go bonjour like all the time. Just I'm a weird adult. So. I just start going bonjour, 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 bonjour.
Have you always lived in Iowa?
Yeah.
I can just see you walking through and saying bonjour, and some redneck be like, what the fuck?
Your child cussing at me? What did your child call me? No. I love this movie. This is my favorite Disney Renaissance movie, personally. I love it. It's my favorite. It's like my favorite 20th century Disney animated film. I love it. Joseph, thoughts on Beauty and the Beast?
Sorry, I'm trying to adjust myself. This movie and The Lion King were the two Disney 90s movies that I watched the most as a kid, which shocks me because it's the Disney princesses movies. And Snow White and Cinderella were, as a kid, they were like, yeah, no, thank you. Not really interested. For some reason, this movie just clicked with me. It has some of the best songs and musical sequences made in any Disney movie from my recollection. And it goes by so fast. There's nothing that drags for me. Absolutely not. I love the characters. I love the villain Gaston and LeFou. And the chaos battle that happens near the end is always so fun to watch as well. I really love this movie as well.
Cody?
Yeah, this one, I mean, what a run Disney had in the 90s, and it was great. Just like everybody, I said there's 3 movies that are acceptable to be like your top favorite. I have expanded that a little bit, but it was always Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, or Lion King. I think those are the top 3. Now I think there's some from the 2000s that play a little harder than I did at the time. Like I think Lilo and Stitch is in that conversation. But overall, Beauty and the Beast does something that's just brilliant. Again, I think it gets a little bit praise heavy because of the Best Picture nom. I think that's the same like Toy Story 3 praise. Like I don't think it's bad for it. I just think like that's like the trump card people use. What's the best one because it's the only one? I clearly think The Lion King could have been nominated for Best Picture too. Like if we're being real. I love the music in this. Again, I think that's something that a lot of these Disney movies miss now. I think wasn't Encanto Disney?
Yeah.
I think that was a clean back to it. I think that means like there's been some that have been, but it's not like the Disney like magic of those soundtracks back then. I think they were just fire, and I think this is one that hits every note. I think the Beast is really good. Like this is the most frightening one for me as a child. Like it was scary. Like when the West Wing, like him grabbing the wolves, like there's some horror elements through this that freak me out. But But overall, I think this has got like the best side characters of any Disney movie. Like, I think these side characters, I think Cogsworth and Lumiere are fire. Like, you definitely get the hint of Timon and Pumbaa later, but I think these two, like, overall do a fantastic job throughout it. Makes sense why this is a movie that made you love. Like, absolutely. No question.
Mike?
Yeah, this is actually one of my first theater experiences that I actually remember. And yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it in the theater. It's one that I haven't rewatched as much as other Disney movies, but I still enjoy it. I still think it's really sweet. And the romance between Bella and the Beast is fucking great. Yeah. Great.
One of the best title songs of all time. Angela Lansbury's version of Beauty and the Beast is fantastic. Also, question. So there are 4 of us. So we clearly all don't get equal picks. Are we letting those two have the bottom, well, like the 2 extra spots?
I hadn't decided. I was going to remove myself from it, and basically whichever two wanted it.
I was going to remove myself, so my last pick will be the last, and then Mike and Joseph can get 2.
Mike and Joseph, do you want the 3rd pick?
I have an extra pick, yeah.
Okay. We will let you two have the 3rd pick. But yeah, so now we will go back to Cody for your last pick.
So I've went a little bit different on this one, and this is not just because Mike's here, because it could be just because Mike's here. No, I'm not taking the one. I knew you
wouldn't do that.
I wouldn't do that. We would have talked about that beforehand. We would have had a cat fight. This is the one where I think changed for me. I think this is an interesting take because when I first watched it, I didn't love it. I didn't have the appreciation for it when I watched it. And then on rewatch, it blew my mind. I was the wrong age when I watched it. It was praised too high. It's on Boatman's wall. No, it's not Steve Jobs. It's The Godfather. Wouldn't that be a twist? Me picking Steve Jobs.
What a movie until 2015.
Didn't start loving until 2015. It's The Godfather. And again, I think this is one that I think one, you have to be the right age to watch The Godfather. I watched a lot of MTV Cribs growing up, and the Godfather posters, that and Scarface, are in a lot of rappers' houses. A lot. It's in a lot of rappers' house in cribs.
It's Godfather and Scarface, and Jim Green once put it. Godfather and Scarface. Saying you love the Godfather and Scarface is like saying your 2 favorite foods are steak and Skittles.
But it was in a lot in cribs. They had a posters, and when I was young, about 10 years old, I said, "Damn, I need to see this movie." So I click on The Godfather, and if anybody's watched The Godfather, that first scene is a wedding scene. And it's the bring it off of the game, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, what the fuck am I watching? This has nothing. Why is this in Rapper's house? Why are we talking about this movie? So I was very bored with it. I did not appreciate it. I didn't enjoy it for where it was. It changed everything on a rewatch. I was older. I was removed from it. I understood movies a little bit better at the time, and it changed. It shaped everything. Like my genre is crime. Like it has changed everything that I look for in movies. If it's a crime movie, you have me there, and then we'll see where it plays out. There's good and bad crime, but Godfather was a movie that just changed the genre and what I look for in movies. I think the acting, where they're able to like develop the story. If you're watching, this is one of those movies, if I could go back in time and watch it for the first time again, it would be this movie. There's very few that I would do that. Back to the Future, Jaws, Godfather, like the big movies, I would wish I could just relive that shock and like feeling that, oh my God, again. Because The Godfather does that to me now. Like, and there's moments I'm like, oh, the bathroom scene when he comes out. If I could see that movie, not see that coming for the first time, blown away. The car explode. The toll booth scene. There's so many in this movie that if I could see it, the gun down in the street, the horse in the bed. It gets so much praise, but it deserves so much. And I know it's not for everybody. It's a long movie. It doesn't have and especially if you're a weirdo and we're young and watched Goodfellas at way too young of an age, it will never come close to Goodfellas. But this. It's just the movie. It can never. It's what changed everything for me.
Completely fair. I think that this is a masterpiece. For lack of a better word, this is a masterpiece. I remember when I watched it for the first time, and I rarely do this. I think within 2 days of watching it, I watched it again. I was just so enamored by it that I needed to see it again. I'll admit, I think it's a brilliant movie. I don't have the love for part 2 that I do for part 1. I think 1 is just such a masterwork, and has just some of the most brilliant sequences of all time. I was joking about it, and you can argue, sure, the Sicily sequence is maybe the weakest part of the movie. But even then, I still think it's really good, and it's kind of nice to let Michael kind of relax. I love everything with Mo Green. Mo Green is so much fun. Then this movie's great. Mike.
All right, so Cody was correct. With this type of movie, if I saw Goodfellas way too early, and I saw it before I saw The Godfather, and that kind of affected my experience with The Godfather. Now, what I will say is that watching it over the years, it has only gotten better, and I appreciate it a lot more than I did, especially the last rewatch I did with Cody and Kirk. Really helped me surmount to that, and I'm going to be giving another rewatch soon. But yes, I do think this is a really good fucking movie. I think everything they've said matches perfectly. The scenes are amazing. The dialogue is incredible. Marlon Brando is insane. And James Caan fucking kills it in this movie. I love James Caan in this so much. But yeah, it is a great fucking pick for this.
That is completely fair. Joseph.
Yeah, there's not much I can add to that, but I think this movie absolutely lives up to the hype. And it's kind of cool for me to think of whenever I talk with some people that I who tell me that they've never seen The Godfather. I'm like, okay, I hope you can make it. I hope you can at least see the appreciation for what it's doing, because there's a lot of payoff in the second half of the movie. And I totally understand what Cody was saying about being too young or the wedding sequence being kind of slow and long, but the payoff that comes from that movie is just incredible. It gets the movie gets better as it goes along, or at least in my opinion. For me, some of my favorite parts of the movie are at the end, and that is most effective because of how the movie builds up to that conclusion. That final montage is one of the best scenes that I've ever seen ever. And it's incredible what that means from a metaphorical standpoint from the beginning to the end. So yeah, I'm glad I waited until I was an adult. Fun fact, I hadn't seen this until I joined this community. So that's how kind of late I was at, but it lives up to it.
I will say the wedding scene went from a slog. Now that I enjoy that so much now. That's how time changes people. I think it went from to now. I love it, especially when that grandpa gets up there and he's singing about some dirty shit, and he's just over there just getting it, and everybody's like, "What the fuck, grandpa?" It's great. It's a great scene.
For me, that's the case with 2001: A Space Odyssey. The first part with the apes is the slowest part. Was the slowest part when I first saw it. But rewatching it, I've rewatched it a few times already. That's actually one of my favorite parts now. I love that movie. Maybe just as much, if not a little bit more.
That's a good nap movie.
Right. What's your first pick?
Okay, so
Or not your first pick, but
yeah. So 5-year-old Mike walks into the theater and he walks out knowing that movies are part of me forever. And I've been chasing that high ever since, seeking out every movie that I can to try to get that same feeling back. And I still have not matched it, but I still am open to finding that. It is Jurassic Park. I walked into that and movies were part of my life forever. Like everything about it, especially the one just moment. Journey to the Island is playing and it just fucking pans up to that Brachiosaurus. Nothing matched that feeling to me. That it just fucking it 100% changed me forever. And I wanted to see it right after it ended. I wanted to see it right again. We ended up seeing it like 5 or 6 times in the theater during that original run. And I've seen it as much as I can throughout the years, especially in theater. Anytime it comes back in the theater, I always try to give it another watch. But everything about it is just incredible. The story, the fucking CGI mixed with practical effects still holds up today, still kicks a shit out of most CGI work today. And the T-Rex breakout scene is incredible. The death of Gennaro is fucking, not only is it great, but it's hilarious at the same time. I crack up every time that shit happens. Ian Malcolm coming in with the jokes every time he can is great. Life Finds a Way, one of the greatest fucking monologues he could do in that sequence. The small role of B.D. Wong, growing up knowing him through Oz and seeing him in that small role, coming back to see him in that small role is fucking great. And I'm so glad that he got the chance to shine later on. But yeah, everything about that I absolutely love. Nothing has ever topped that feeling for me. And at this point, I don't know if anything ever will. But I will still seek out more shit to find out. Great fucking movie.
Mike's always looking for that Jurassic Park. Oh, this is a movie that the first time I watched it, I was not big on. I was not big on it the first time I watched it. It has grown on me in subsequent watches. I think just I've appreciated the characters more, because that's the thing. For me, the monster is never what brings me to the movie. Right, I just watched King Kong today, and it's fine. It's not. I get why people like Kirk love it. Doesn't hit those highs for me, but like the monster is never going to be. You got to give me character, and I think that at first I wasn't as big on the characters, but now I particularly Ian Malcolm is just a top tier character, and even at the time I loved Ian Malcolm. But yeah, this is a great movie, and I knew that this is like your jam, as it should. Joseph?
Yeah, I really like this movie. I saw this, I think, the first time I saw this was quite an experience. I had never, so I like to think of myself as someone who can control my emotions pretty well. I don't, as I was growing older, I was like, I don't scare easily. I don't. I'm careful with how I react to things because I don't. Basically, I thought that I would brave the arm scene, but I couldn't. That's maybe the only time I've audibly gone, "Oh, go, whoa!" Like when I see the arm scene. You know what scene I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah,
that scene. Yeah. It's still effective. It's still great. I'm still a little backstory for me with this movie. I showed this to a couple of friends of mine who one night, and I was a little sad that they thought it was not really great. That arm scene in particular, I was satisfied that I also heard her go make an audible gasp at it, but afterwards, after the whole terrifying dinosaurs thing, they were like, "This was terrible," and it's kind of made me sad. But yeah, I still enjoy it though. Yes.
That's fair. Cody.
Two things from what Joseph said. One, invite your friends to this community anytime soon. Two, if Mike did not know the arm scene, then you're not talking about Jurassic Park. And on that note, On the record of this one, I've told Mike this numerous times. If I could have sat in the theater and watched the entrance, like the go when he sees the dinosaur for the first time and takes off his glasses and looks up and like the feeling, and you see that dinosaur for the first time, I would give anything at this point to go see that. I think that is one of the most brilliant. Mike knows how I feel about this. I think the movie's great. I think the movie's brilliant. I think it's absolutely. The kid should have died right away. I hate those children. I hate them in this movie. They cause every bad thing to happen, and basically proves that Grant can't have any children at the end because he can't. He doesn't want to do that to himself. Like, absolutely not. These kids are fucking terrible. The only kid to ever live from 10,000 volts right to his thing and just move. Don't shine the light. Hey, dinosaur, what's up? Like, it's just crazy to me. But I have a blast watching it overall. Like, overall, Ian Malcolm, I hate that man. All the time. It is not a perfect movie for me, but it's 100% a perfect movie for Mike. And watching it with Mike, I think me and Mike like having our tradition on New Year's is we're just gonna help call and do it. But like, that's just it. Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, and something else, whatever it could be. But it's brilliant. It's brilliant time.
It's fair. Well, that's everyone for Jurassic Park. Joseph, back over to you.
So I'm a little torn on this next one, but so here's where I'm coming from. Basically, I saw this when I was a teen for the first time, and I'm not saying that it took me this long to fall in love with movies, but particularly for movies from this era, because growing up, I watched a lot of animated movies and family movies, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars. And then black and white movies would be like, that's old. And I wouldn't really be very interested in watching them. There are three movies that really helped me. They wowed me enough as a younger watcher that they made me more open to watch more classic era films. So for that reason, I'm going to go with It's a Wonderful Life first, because this movie, I think, is such an inspirational message. It gives such an inspirational message about how people have an effect, an impact on so many people in their lives, and that people are just there for them. And that ending is so emotional. It really overwhelmed me. It's with this kind of message and this kind of heartfelt tone with the movie, it's easy to see how powerful it is. You know that this movie has power when it turns a Grinch like Cody into liking it after having gone previously from hating it to liking it. So that seeing that happen was like, yes, he finally sees it. He finally sees the light. I'm still very upset that this movie did so poorly at the box office. Like, this was a box office bomb. The cynics, I blame the cynics for not going to see this movie. They should have helped this movie make more money at the box office. Shame on them. But this movie, I love this movie. This movie helped me fall in love with the classic era of film.
That's completely fair. This is a beautiful movie. I stand by. This is like one of the most like joyous endings ever. Just like the last 10 minutes of this movie are just pure joy. Yeah, I think that this, for me, this was absolutely a super formative movie. I want to say, like, I don't remember how old I was when I saw it, but this was probably the first black and white movie I remember like loving. And it's a brilliant film. Mike, I'll go to you. Thoughts on It's a Wonderful Life?
This movie is incredible. I love the movies that have the message of you making sure that you appreciate life and what you have, and I think this is a perfect interpretation of that. Of appreciating, of needing to appreciate what you have and what you bring to other people. And it's told beautifully. the ending, like Joseph said, is fucking incredible. I love the ending of this movie so much, and the journey to that holds up very well. I watch it every single holiday, every single Christmas holiday. I will put it on and watch it and enjoy it every single time. Great shit.
That's fair. Cody, go ahead.
Joseph, have you ever seen this in color? It goes up. Okay, anyways.
I have actually.
It's great, isn't it? Thank you. Mike, I just want to touch on something real quick. You said, like, you know, where you come from, be happy with what you have, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like the second movie that in Christmas that I watched that makes me feel that way. This is definitely a great one. It's my number 2. Christmas Vacation is one that also shows you to be appreciative of where you come from, what you got. So,
Right.
holy hell!
Vacation.
I can't wait. No, this is a movie, and I don't thank Boatman a lot in life. Basically, I think meeting Boatman kind of changed my perspective on movies because I gave classics more of a shot than what I would have if I never met Boatman. And overall, this is one of those movies that I get. We all have those people in our lives that don't understand film, but think they understand movies. Like movies, but you know, their favorite movie is like, I don't know, like they will tell you like, yeah, shut up, you bitch. But they'll say like their favorite movie is like Edge of Tomorrow that just came out and stuff. You're like, oh, okay, cool, interesting, whatever.
Or like your brother won't stop saying that Top Gun Maverick is the greatest movie.
Correct, right. If that doesn't win Oscars, I'll lose it. You know, stuff like that. So I had family tell me that It's a Wonderful Life is like the greatest Christmas movie of all time. And their opinions are garbage, absolute garbage. And we all watched it as a family. I've said this experience, and I had a terrible time. A terrible time watching it with a group of people because people are talking, people are doing, you know, asking questions. It's a miserable time. On a rewatch, after watching a lot of classics, after watching more Jimmy Stewart movies and like Cary Grant movies, I found the appreciation. I found the love for this movie, and I understand what this movie is. Like this, this is Christmas in a box. Like this is something that you need to watch during Christmas. It makes you feel the spirit of the holiday. It makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. It's like when I think of one of the perfect Christmas movies, I want to laugh my ass off uncontrollably, or I want to feel something. Those are my two Christmas like go-tos. Christmas Vacation is one. This is the heart and soul of Christmas, and I think it stands. If it didn't find its love in 46, it's found its love now. There's a ton of people that appreciate this one. So, no, I completely understand where this could. And it's I hate movies like this, and this is no shot at it, but I can't watch this in April. I can't watch this in like July. So I can watch like The Godfather whenever. I have to watch this at Christmas. I mean, you can watch it, but it loses a lot of the thing, and you just feel sad because you're not at Christmas time. Overall, you know, I'm not drinking cocoa and getting presents. You know, bullshit.
No, that's valid.
It's also great to watch in January.
No, I think January is kind of like, hey,
the cold months. I think you're fair, but
if
overall,
you missed a Christmas movie, you can still watch it in January. I would even say November, like starting November, you can watch this movie, like November to December or to January, even February. I'll get. Anyway, was that everyone for It's a Wonderful Life? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, now we're over to me. And I won't talk too long about this one because A, I've talked it to death, and B, I think everyone knows that this is the movie I credit for making me love movies. It's Inception. This is the one. This is the movie that made me care about movies as an art form. Like, I liked movies before this. I liked movies. This is the movie that made me obsessed with movies. Without this movie, I don't start caring about directors. I don't start really learning who Christopher Nolan is. And by that, like learning, like looking up things about like Christopher Nolan and his movies on YouTube, Without that, I don't discover Screen Junkies, and I don't discover all the movie communities that's surrounding it, and I don't discover that one thing that we don't talk about that ended recently. And without that, I don't discover here. And I'm not talking to you all right now. So I credit this movie with a lot. I love this movie. I think it was exactly what I needed at the time. It was so complex and intellectual, but still had, was still accessible. And I think that is very tough to do, I think, and especially in a blockbuster. And I will always have a major attachment to this movie. I love it. Joseph. You're muted.
Yes, sorry. Yes, this movie is still my favorite Nolan movie. It might be I might be a little biased, just a little bit, because it was also the first Nolan movie that I watched, and I still really enjoy it. There's times where I still find, even after multiple watches, I still find it very thought-provoking about what's going on in the. It's fun to me to try to make sense of the whole logistics of all of the dream worlds and the inception procedure and all. And yeah, great pick. I don't know what else I can say that hasn't been said yet.
Fair enough. Mike?
Yeah, this is a movie that I really truly believe that the trailer matches the movie. It matches perfectly what you're going to get. You know what the style of movie you're going to get with that first trailer that came out, and it matches that movie perfectly. It is such a fun movie. It's, like Boatman said, it is very intellectual, but it does it in such an open way that people that don't get something out of it the first time will come back for more and want to come back for more. And the stuff towards the end is fucking incredible, especially Leo going as dark as he does get with it. It is a fucking great movie. And that poster behind you, Boatman, I've already told you that. I think that's a badass poster that you still need to put up.
Cody got me that poster, and I would hang it up, but I need it to be visible.
Yeah, no, that's 100%
on a wall over there, because I like having it on camera.
Yeah,
and if I hung it up, it would be like here or there, and you wouldn't be able to see it. And I think it's a dope poster. But yeah, Cody?
Yeah, Inception is a movie that I haven't seen as many times as I would like to at this point. I saw this in college. It was very popular at the time I went to college. I had a friend that swore up and down watched it, but we watched it with like a group of like 10 people, and everyone was talking. And I'm not the most, learned doctor in the room. I need some context clues to find my way through. This movie's confusing if you're a first time watching. A lot of shit's going on. And I have no idea what's going on. So I hated it. I absolutely hated it. I swore I'd never watch it again. I got into this community. I was wrong. This movie's brilliant. This movie is exactly what like big blockbusters need to be. And a world that he's able to create. I think the concept of this movie is brilliant. The dream inside the dream inside. I think that's just fantastic. The scenes I love, like when he's walking with I can't think, and they're changing like everything basically back and forth. Like, I think it's like it works brilliant. I think like the heist elements in this movie just works. The score, and when I saw it on the big screen, everything changed. Everything changed. It went into my top 20. The reason why I haven't watched it in a little bit is because I'm giving it some time to breathe. Because I watched it a lot when I first saw it, because I thought it was brilliant. I'm going to let it breathe a little bit and see where I'm at. But overall, it's a movie that is just excellent. And it makes sense why you love movies. I thought I was going to bring this up, but then I was like, oh my God, why? Boatman will be the one to bring it up, so let Boatman take it. So it makes sense.
That's fair. Well, I believe that was everyone for Inception. Yeah. So now, Mike, we'll go back over to you. Your last pick.
Okay, so for my last pick, we all have movies that we love on different genres, shit like that. For the majority of us, we all have that one genre though that we love more than others. So I wanted to go a different route with this. I wanted to go the route of talking about why I love horror as much as I do. And it's from a movie that I saw for the first time between like 4 and 6 years old. A lot of fucking movies I saw when I'm between this age. It happens, you know. But it was John Carpenter's 1978 Halloween. It fucking changed the horror genre for me forever. Like, Michael Myers became my fucking man. That, like, the whole just concept of him going, Lloyd just showed up to my old house, so I'm gonna go kill her and her fucking friends because fuck them. Like, that's the only reason he had. He had no other fucking motive for it. He just went, I saw her first, fuck it, I'm gonna kill them first. It's just so incredible. The cinematography in this movie is insane, especially that lead up to the house as a small child walking into the house that it does that very long take. It's fucking perfect, and every kill is so awesome. They're all different. He chokes some of them. He just stabs them up against the wall, and then Donald Pleasance just comes in and rules the shit out of this movie. His speech about Michael Myers is incredible, and I just love that Michael Myers becomes his white whale. He becomes the thing that he just wants to fucking stop no matter what. And it goes throughout the sequels with that even further, which he gets more insane as movies go along. But this movie, he is on the top of his fucking game. Everybody is. Jamie Lee Curtis is fucking incredible in this movie. And like John Carpenter just showed up and just went, I'm here, bitch. Welcome. It's amazing. It changed my life for horror movies forever. I've been seeking out horror movies ever since, and yeah, this is why I love the horror genre, and this is why Michael Myers has always been my guy.
That is completely valid. Yeah, no, I feel like people think I don't like this movie. I do really like this movie. I like my movies to be a little bit more character focused personally, but I think as an exercise in tension and horror, this movie is so brilliant. And this movie is so much smarter than so many other slasher movies. Like, it is so, from a technical and directing level, it is so brilliant because it's Hitchcock. It's Hitchcock.
Oh.
Like, it is absolutely 100% going for the Hitchcockian methods of tension. And just from a technical level, I think that this movie is so brilliantly done. And Donald Pleasance is the thing that elevates every movie that he is in of those Halloween movies. He's such like a talented actor. Same with like Tobin Bell in the Saw movies. I think both those are just very gifted actors that they know to just let do their thing. Joseph.
Yeah, so slashers aren't really my thing. I just don't enjoy them very much. But this movie, I do appreciate more aspects of it. It was easier for me to get into this movie because of how it builds the suspense and the atmosphere about it. So that was cool. I personally prefer, this is going to sound weird, but the colors of Suspiria, the 70s version, make me kind of like that movie more than this one. But in terms of how this movie reinvents the horror genre for the slashers with this and Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, the horror icons thing, I can see why it gets the praise of it, because it's actually Carpenter putting in the effort to create that tension instead of all just mindless deaths and shock value and things, which ironically Suspiria does have, but I love the colors and score in that movie. What's the name of the guy with glasses who's lifted up and stabbed?
Paul.
Paul. That's probably my favorite. That's probably the creepiest scene for me in the movie.
That's completely valid. Cody?
I'm on the record. So I've updated. I saw I think I saw Mike do it, so I did it too. I updated my favorites up at the top to to the season, basically of horror. I think I'm gonna do that every time because I'm like it's kind of boring just having the same ones all the time. But yeah, John, I don't like horror. um, but I say that, but I don't like middle of the road horror or bad horror. I like excellent horror, if we're being honest. Like John Carpenter's The Thing. Well, not John Carpenter's Thing, but John Carpenter's Halloween is one of those that does everything for me. I've wanted to watch the double feature of this in 2018 because I think that's also a brilliant movie. What they're able to accomplish and what they're able to do in this movie, I think, is just next level. The score, when I think of like film scores, it's in my top like 20 when I hear it. The theme, I kind of hate, and this is no shot on Tim. I love Tim. I kind of hate that it's in fandom because it's in the movie that doesn't get like the appreciation it deserves anymore. Because people have to know questions from it instead of just in the little nut like of how brilliant the movie overall is. But this is just brilliant where it comes. I love like where they're able to build the tension and the fear throughout this movie is so good. The car drives and the brakes slam, and you don't know what's happening. And then the initial jump scares of like opening the door and a cat jumps out and it's not like him, but she looks out the window and he's just standing there and there's no rhyme or reason and he's just there. Like it's brilliant. I think it builds a perfect suspense. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It makes you scared shitless for Laurie and Donald. It's just fantastic, and he gets crazier and crazier as the movies go on. So, yells at a mute kid at one point. Crazy.
Valid.
Love it.
Joseph, over to you for your last pick, I believe.
Okay, going back to touch on a specific kind of movie that this movie helped me fall in love with. Again, this is a movie that I saw. This is a movie that I saw for the first time in college. So I saw this later, and I don't want to say that this movie helped me fall in love with movies because when I was in college. No, the point I want to make is that this movie helped me. So when I was a kid, I had a certain expectation for movies to have happy endings. And whenever a movie was depressing, I was depressed. And I didn't like a movie for that. And there were movies that have depressing endings that made me go like, well, I see what they're doing there because of the message. And that's something that also my parents tried to teach me, that not all movies have to end happily. Not some movies end depressingly because of the message, the point. But there wasn't one that really, really hit me as hard with a depressing ending until I saw Paths of Glory until I saw Paths of Glory in college. This movie is it's the most anti-war film can get, because it does not glorify anything about the war. It shows you the tragedy of injustices that people commit because they have the power to do so. And you see the morale of the soldiers break down with it. And that just gets me. Like of course the movie if the movie ended on the bleakest, most depressing note, it still would have been an effective, terribly sad anti-war movie. But the choice that Kubrick does in including that final slimmer of hope for that movie just overwhelms me as well. It's a message that it's a movie that is depressing, but there's still hope for people. And that's the kind of movie that's really it's still one of my top 5 favorite movies of all time for that ending. It's my favorite scene of all time, the sequence of that end of this movie, for how there can be so much terrible things in the world. It's a depressing place to be in, but there's still humanity left in us. And that's a movie that helped me find a new way to love movies in ways that I did not expect.
Yeah, this is a really beautiful movie. I've only seen it the one time, and I watched it because of you, I believe, Joseph, when you added that the Full Metal list way back when. And this is one of those ones I'm glad you did, because this is a brilliant film. There's a sense of, I don't want to say doom, but just kind of moving towards tragedy to it that I think is really brilliant. I love Kubrick's more intimate films. I think there's something about his earlier stuff where he's just a little less focused on the technicals, that things felt a little more human. And I really like what he's doing here. Yeah, I think this is a brilliant picture. Mike?
Yeah, I actually really enjoy this movie. It's I've seen it now twice, and it got better on rewatch, so I definitely want to give it another shot in like a year or two and see where it goes from there, because there's something with, like, this is right now probably middle Kubrick for me, but that doesn't say anything about the movie. Just Kubrick's filmography is fucking incredible. But this movie gives so much, like both of you brought up, dread and like kind of depressed feelings while watching it because of what's going on. And it's done so well that I enjoy going back to it to just experience that world that he's created during wartime, because wartime's not supposed to be fun. And I think this movie perfectly brings that together.
That's right. Cody?
You ever seen The Producer? Springtime for Hitler seemed like a ball and a half. Anyways, on that note, and they were at war. So this is one of those movies. There's few movies. I wouldn't say few, but there are perfect movies that are perfect but don't like get so much rewatchability from me. I don't know how many times I need to see Paths of Glory overall. It's brilliant, but it's not a movie I want to go back to. It's like a movie like I could see 5 years from now and still have the appreciation for it, because I think overwatching the movie could really hurt like this of a classic. And I think when the first time I saw it, I said, I have zero complaints. This was great, excellent, brilliant. But like didn't climb through. And I think that's just me as a movie fan. Like, you're gonna get me with like rousing performances and speeches and like back and forth, or this is just overall like a perfect movie that's amazing that it's made in the time it was made, but just doesn't go like to the next level for me overall. But again, it's been a little bit since a rewatch. I think maybe a rewatch could change that too. I think that's the beautiful thing about film. Time changes everything. Like, you would have told me that The Departed is going to be my number one movie. I just said, nope. It's my number one.
And I totally get that. It's also a movie that I watch like every once in a while, but I like to see it. I like to go back to it because it's like, for me, it's a human test to see if I can still feel things than it does for me. And it's short. Like, you don't need to see. It's not something like It's not something like Schindler's List, which is 3 hours. If you rewatch that every once in a while, yeah, I can see that. This movie under 90 minutes. Yeah,
he has a fuse. We don't need to light it. We don't need to light it. We don't talk about Spielberg in any negative light, even if that wasn't negative.
We don't talk about Spielberg.
1941. Oh wait, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
Even in neutral terms, it has to be
Correct.
positive or nothing. We can't even say Spielberg is a director.
It would rot. It would ruin his chocolate milk or Taco Bell later. If you talk about Spielberg, his quesadilla that he's going to get from Taco Bell later will not taste the same. It will taste awful. He'll be
Kingdom
pissed.
of Crystal Skull, not a terrible movie.
Whoa! We definitely don't bring that up. We don't bring that up. We don't. We don't talk about the fridge. We don't talk about the fridge. We don't talk about the swinging. We don't talk
We
about
don't talk about
none.
Bruno. We don't talk about Kingdom of the Crystal.
Nope.
Anyway, that brings us. That wraps up our movies that made us love movies. For recap: Pulp Fiction, Back to the Future, Lion King, Beauty and the Beast, The Godfather, Jurassic.
A lot of 90s.
Yeah, a lot of 90s. It's a Wonderful Life, Inception, Halloween, Paths of Glory. But before we go, we do have the movie of the month. Full disclosure, I didn't get a chance to rewatch this because I've been gone. So, yeah, I will. I mean, I've seen it.
You have more times. You'll have more times.
I'll have more times. I have seen it this year. So I couldn't talk about it, but I want a fresh rewatch.
You can give it a rating.
I don't want to, though. Don't tell me what to do. Anyway.
When have I ever told you what to do?
I just want to put them next to each other because it's fun. Can I talk about Rope?
Yes.
So everybody, I would say, when you talk about Hitchcock, I would say that there are probably 3 in this top 3 that people talk about, like ad nauseum. Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho. I may be missing some, but
North
overall,
by Northwest, I feel like is
North by Northwest.
combo.
This is probably his best movie for me. I love this movie. I think it builds the most tension in any Hitchcock movie ever. And I think that is a lot to do with the scummy 2 kids. Like, they feel so entitled and so like thing. And then you know who comes in? Smooth Jimmy Stewart. And like knows some shit is up and does not like where this is going. And like, in that room, in that tension where they're able to build, it's a short watch, but every time he gets close to that spot, the heartbeats go up. And I think that's something that he is brilliant in capturing in this movie. I remember watching that, and I was like, I'm going to watch more Hitchcock because I think Hitchcock's an overrated hack. I'm wrong. I think he's got brilliant work. He's Dial In for Murder, another great movie. Fantastic. Like, he's got some hits that I absolutely love. But this, yeah, where you don't have like an increase of like score, even like there is some score, but like it's not like it could be over the top. You feel that just as I'm like, oh my god, if he touches that right now, what's going to happen? It's a brilliant in such a confined space. I love it. I think Rope is definitely one of his underrated movies, especially when you talk about it. Rope is like, Rope, what are you talking about? But once you watch it, I think he's playing with all of his elements in this movie. But it's his most simplistic movie too. I think it's like he doesn't have anything else going on. It's just this in the room, and I think it's great. I'll give my rating at the end, I think, or do I give it now?
Oh no, you can't give your rating now. I was going to ask you, had you not?
I gave it 4.5. I honestly would like the story to drag a little bit longer, to be honest with you. I think this is one that would benefit from a little bit more instead of rushing to it. I wish it was a little bit, and then I think the tension would grow a little bit more, and I would like to stay in that tension as long as possible. So,
I think I'm lagging a little bit, so Mike, I'm going to let you talk about the movie, and I will even come back.
Yeah, so this movie is very like stage play, and it works really fucking well in that regard. Jimmy Stewart and John Dahl are fucking incredible together, and like Cody said, the tension throughout this movie is fucking amazing. I love this movie has crawled up to be in my top 5 Hitchcock movies. Dude, it's just so fucking good. Every time I rewatch it, I love it even more. And yeah, every time anybody goes near that section, everything just stops and you just go, are they gonna see it? Are they gonna see it? And Jimmy Stewart plays it so fucking well. It is a great fucking movie.
Yeah. Joseph.
Yeah, this movie is better for with the movies that Cody mentioned about being among the top grades. I wish this movie were talked about more than Vertigo, which kind of lags at points more than usual for me in terms of what other movies I've seen from Hitchcock. And this movie, when I first saw this movie, I was not prepared for how short it was. But I was also looking forward to how short it was. But even then, it still manages to create some fascinating ways of making tension with just the one location. I love the camera work and the direction that this movie has, because there are scenes where they talk about having. I love when they talk about David, and you can see the camera moving to include the chest in the frame. I like that that way that Hitchcock creates suspense. I think that the movie also is very, very effective at developing the characters with just the dialogue in that room. Like the two guys, Brandon and Philip, they are kind of so this is a credit to the actors. I think the actor who plays Philip, I don't remember his name, but he does a really great job at contrasting with Brandon, who's such a smug type of guy, and the way that they talk about the killing of their classmate, it makes me go simultaneously, you guys are kind of gross talking about it. This fun type of challenge for you to undertake, and it's kind of disturbing, but at the same time, the way that they talk about it is just fascinating, and it's kind of unsettling to me. I'm right there in somewhere between 4 and 4.5 stars for this movie. I really like it. Yeah, go check it out if you haven't. If you're not into classics, this is a real short one that I think can be very, very beneficial to watching for getting into classics as well.
That's fair. Mike, remind me, did you say your rating for it?
Yeah, 5-star, okay. Great fucking movie.
Okay, fair enough. Well, that is it for our show. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you to Joe. Thank you to Mike. Thank you to Cody. We will be back next week, I believe, with comic book movie villains. I'm going to check that because it's not in my little thing here.
I think it's horror movie villains.
No, horror villains is the 25th.
Oh, the 25th?
So I believe comic book movie villains. No, comic book movie villains is the 18th. So I'm not quite sure what is next week. I'll look at the post, and you'll look at the post, and you'll see what comes up next week. Anyway,
I'm looking it up right now. If it helps, it's the horror villains.
Oh, it is horror villains. For a reason, it's here.
25th,
I have that.
25th is Guilty Pleasures Volume 3 Horror Movie Edition.
That's fair. For whatever reason, right here it says the 25th horror villains. Ignore that. Next week is horror villains. So ignore that. Next week, horror villains. Week after that, come movie villains. Week after that, Guilty Pleasures Horror Movie Edition. So thank you, everyone. Have a good one. See you later.
In case I don't see you. Good afternoon, good evening.